Man, our hearts just sank when we saw what happened in Israel just a couple of weeks ago, to see Hamas and the strikes and all the families that are now displaced and things just upheavaled right now. Paul and Robin, who are from here, literally were doing a study tour in Israel. They're with us this morning. One thing we want to promise you, I know the kids are in the car, so we're not going to get into anything that's graphic. You see all of that in the news, but they were there doing a study tour. And if I know this correctly, Robin and Paul, while you were there, you didn't know it was actually happening unless you were watching the news because you were far enough away, it sounds like.
Right. We were up in the Sea of Galilee area, and that's pretty far north compared to where the fighting began. So we didn't even know until we woke up and saw the news.
Now, you're doing a study tour. So what is actually a study tour so some people understand what this is that you were doing?
Well, we've led several of these of the life of Jesus. And so we go around the area of Israel, and we study the scriptures and see where Jesus walked and the impact that he had there.
Now, I know one thing is that the group that you were with thought that this may be a temporary thing that was going on.
Right. We've been, well, at least we did as leaders. We've been a number of times. We've watched the history of how Hamas and Israel have dealt with each other over the years. We knew this was we knew in the beginning this was more serious, but we kind of hoped or thought maybe it wouldn't be what it's turned into. The first day we just continued doing what we were doing until a war was declared by Israel, and then we knew it was a greater level than what we expected.
And it even kind of impacted your tour group because your tour guide was actually called up. So how did that come about?
Well, he is, he was in the military, then he was a reservist after that. We were headed down along the Jordan border to the Dead Sea from the Sea of Galilee. And as the day progressed, he put us on notice that he might be called up. And then about an hour or so later, he said, I was called up. And then he took us down to the Dead Sea where we were going to go spend time. And he settled us in our hotel. And then he took a cab, went back to Jerusalem, kissed his wife goodbye, picked up his equipment, and reported it for duty. And we haven't heard from him, so we don't know.
That's my next question on what that was like. You're in the middle of all this right now. You're in Jerusalem. What were you feeling while you were there?
Well, obviously, just from looking and seeing around, things were different. There was no one on the streets. Everyone was on their cell phone, and just the look on their faces was very intense. And honestly, there were tears. Half of many, many thousands of people were called up. And so sons and daughters went. And it was hard. And then when we got to Jerusalem, we were informed about the air sirens. And we got to enjoy that experience, running to an air shelter. So it was quite a bit tense in Jerusalem.
So the air sirens go off. What were your thoughts at that time when you had to experience that yourself?
Well, we had 1 minute to get to the air shelter.
Really?
And immediately you think, okay, this is not good. But once we did it, we realized that 1 minute we were okay. And
we were warned from day one. I mean, when we first got there, they explained about the sirens and that we had about 60 to 90 seconds, and he said 60 seconds is longer than you think. Don't run. You'll get there in plenty of time. And we did. And we heard the siren. We went to the bomb shelter, and we heard the air defense missiles go off and took out at least one missile, maybe two, maybe three. We don't know for sure.
Good night. I can't even imagine being in the middle of all that. Robin and Paul are along with us this morning. They were in the Sea of Galilee and with a study tour guide group while all this broke out in Israel. I heard it was such a journey trying to get back home.
None of us were really were worried about being about anything bad happening to us. We had 27 very strong Christians. At some point, we were resigned to be there and be okay. But our families were creating anxiety. They saw the news. They couldn't put it in perspective how we were doing. But the airport the airport was never closed down, but air carriers weren't coming, and we weren't sure how we were going to get out at all. And so that was the anxiety that was building in our group.
Were you able to communicate with your family at all?
Sure, we could call long distance, we could email. Everything was fairly normal from that standpoint where we were, and it was only from where Gaza is to where we were. It was only about 50 miles, and then about halfway between that is where a lot of the fighting was. So it was close, but it didn't feel like we were anywhere close, really.
What was the experience just trying to get home? Because, you're saying that the air carriers weren't coming in. Your maybe 10-day trip was then expanded to how long? And then how did you get that flight out?
We didn't. It actually was cut short a little bit, but the declared war happened on the weekend. Monday, our air carrier canceled, and then we began to find what air carriers were still flying. The Middle Eastern carriers were flying, but we would make reservations, and then we'd find out 6-7 hours later that they were canceling flights. We'd make another one. They cancel flights, and that was where the stress was beginning to build. We're going, who can get us out? But we finally didn't get out by air carrier. It was Corey Mills, one of the representatives from Florida, who's had an experience of getting people out. He got people out of Afghanistan in the early days back then, and he organized some ways to get out. And I'm an Anglican priest, and one of my fellow clergy contacted another representative who coordinated a bus trip out of Israel into Jordan, and we flew out of Jordan.
Oh, we're so glad you're home and that you are safe. What are some of the things we can pray for? Because we're here, and all we see is what we see on TV. You were there, and you saw what happened. What's the biggest things we can pray for?
Our biggest concern really is the number of people who are going to be perish without knowing Jesus. So my prayer has been, I've had some crazy prayers. I think one is that maybe all of Hamas would have a Damascus Road experience and come to Christ. And that would be the way of destroying Hamas, really. I'm praying that Israel would not try to depend on their own strength, but depend on the God who has been their strength forever. And pray for all the people that are going to not see Jesus at the end of their life. Maybe that God will give them a clarifying moment that they can say yes or no before anything happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Paul, Robin, thank you for the time this morning. We're glad you're home and you're safe.
Thank you for the many prayers that were offered. It really made a difference.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
So here is Leanne. She is a nurse. And as she's driving in, I think she was going to work or going home, one or the other, but she was off duty and noticed that there was a vehicle that was flipped on its side. And so she runs out of her car. She goes underneath to see if the person was okay, put a tourniquet on the guy to stop the bleeding that was going on, saved this person's life. And she was just recognized for it.
Yeah, I mean, this was a cement truck. This thing flipped over. This is a huge accident. So there was another bystander there. And so what Leanne did is said, hey, can I have your belt? The guy gives her the belt, and that's what she used as the tourniquet. If she hadn't have been there, things could have been so different.
It would have turned out completely different. But she acted. She didn't think of herself. She thought of the person that was in that dump truck, flipped over, and wanted to really do something. And this was instinct. It was not like, I'm going to be on TV. No, right. She just did this. And now she just received a life-saving award from the fire department.
And what she had to say was, she said, look, I believe everybody and everything has a purpose. And she even went on to say, I believe that God directs my path. She believes, and we know it to be true, that she was at that moment, at that time, for that specific reason.
You're listening to Rob and Lizz in the morning.
His radio.
It's Rob and Lizz in the morning, his radio.
Rob, Liz,
Whoa.
you have to listen to this. You have to listen.
What? Listen to what?
On this open mic. It's so good. Listen.
An open mic?
Yes.
Just came in.
Okay.
All right. Well,
It must be something.
sounds pretty urgent. Okay, the open mic from the My HISRadio app. What's it about?
Are they nice?
Well, I can't give it away. You have to listen.
All right.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
This is from
All right.
the My HISRadio app. This is a very evidently very important message that just came through on the open mic. It can't wait.
No,
We can't. Okay.
right
All
now.
right. Okay. There. Ninja, our producer, has spoken. So
Okay.
here we go. From the My HISRadio open mic, this very, very important message.
Pika, Pikachu, Pika, Pika, Pikachu, Pika, Pika, Pikachu.
Okay. What is she saying?
It's so cute.
It's Pikachu.
Pikachu.
Yeah,
Is that a Pokemon thing?
It's Pokemon, yes.
Okay.
Pika, Pikachu,
is
Pika, Pika,
perfect.
Pikachu.
Is that really the open mic?
That's perfect, though.
Is that how they sound? Is this
Play
a
the
cartoon?
beginning. Play the beginning again.
Pika, Pikachu, Pika, Pika, Pikachu.
Pikachu?
Like, that is, all I can see is that little yellow guy in my head. Little Pikachu.
The guy's yellow?
Yes.
See, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I
My
don't-
kids were totally into all that. Yeah.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
Right or left?
Huh?
The question is right or left.
Okay.
That's my question.
I'm not sure. Can I have context?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the question is this. Scott, are you listening? The question is this. Right or left? You got the question?
Got it.
You got the question? What's the question?
I'm going to say right.
That's
the
an answer. What's the question? What's the question? Right or left?
Perhaps
That's the question.
Which hand do you write with?
No, I'm not doing
Right or
Jeopardy. This is not Jeopardy.
He's literally asking.
Quit guessing. I'm
What
just
is
asking
the
a question.
What is the question?
What's the question? What's the question again?
Right or left?
Thank you.
That's it. That's the question. The question is right or left. Listen real close. This is the HISRadio open mic. Just came in moments ago. The question is, when you hear this open mic, the question is right or left.
Okay.
HISRadio open mic.
I'm scared.
Off the My HISRadio app. Listen real close.
Decibels can be measured. Citations for violating the noise ordinance.
That's Scott doing the news in the background,
Yeah.
but listen close.
Complaints have poured in.
It's the turn signal. Somebody's turning right or left. I don't know what way they were turning when they made that open mic.
I feel like they're going to daycare. They're taking a baby to daycare.
That's not the question.
Okay, but I'm
The
feeling.
question is right or left. It's not about their destination.
Well, I'm thinking.
Where they're heading in this moment of time. This is
Decibels
just curious.
can be measured. Citations for
Here
violating the noise
that's
ordinance.
the turn signal in the car. The question is right or left. I mean, they left us an open mic and we have to
Right.
guess, are they turning right or left?
But you know.
I still say right.
You think it's right? Okay. Scott thinks it's right.
I think it's left because it's taking a minute. It's taking a little longer than normal. So I'm going to say
Unless they're 5 cars back at a stoplight and wanting to turn right.
left.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
at
yeah.
that point,
Mhm.
no, listen. If you're turning right and you're behind all these people and they're not going, you're not just sitting there calmly. You're like, come on.
It's a stoplight. Come on. They're at a stoplight. They
You
could
can turn
be.
right on red. Maybe you didn't know that.
Not if you're 5 cars back. You didn't know that.
But you want the first person to go, so you'd be like,
Not if they're not
"Come
turning. If
on."
they're not turning,
and the baby,
you're stuck behind them.
baby's very well behaved.
There's a baby in there? What?
See,
Hold on.
that's why I said daycare.
Hold on. Hang on.
Yeah.
Decibels can be measured. Citations for violating the noise ordinance. Cost up to
That was at the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I hear it. Okay. All I hear is Scott doing news,
Yeah.
and I hear a turn signal.
No, I hear
right or left. That's all I'm wondering.
I hear here is what is in my mind. You have a 2-year-old
Oh, now she's got a whole storyline.
in the
Here we
car
go.
seat that must have snacks and a drink because, and maybe a screen. And
She's adding to
you're
the question.
behind
The
4 or
question was
5
simple.
people at the stoplight, and they're waiting for the people in front of them.
Where's she getting all this from?
I
That
do
was
this.
a simple question, right or
No.
left. That's all it was.
Rob,
Liz?
everyone has a story.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
The question is this: left or right? The question is this. If you heard the open mic, you know what this is. It's Rob and Lizz in the morning. The open mics from the My HISRadio app. Here it is.
decibels can be measured. Citations for violating
The thing that's
noise
standing out to me
ordinance.
is the turn signal.
$1,000
and Scott doing news in the background.
Right.
So
To me, the baby. But
she
yeah.
hears the baby. I hear the turn signal, which I just wonder left or right. What's
Well-
the turn going on here with the turn signal?
Teresa has weighed in. She texted and said left because most people don't use the turn signal for right turns.
I'm a rare person, evidently. I always use my turn signal, and I know it gets me nowhere, but I still feel like I need to use it. And I'll tell you why. I'll be the guy that gets the ticket.
Oh, yeah.
Always. I'm the guy that gets the ticket.
You get stopped for no turn signal.
Yeah.
All right. Dwayne also says definitely left.
Why?
Mine just sounded like that as I waited 3 minutes to make that turn.
Okay.
So Kristen going a different way. She said, I'm going to add this. The child in the car must obviously have the adult's phone, somehow manage to get into the His Radio app, open the open mic, part of the app. And then as far as the turn signal, they think she's U-turning, which technically
U-turn?
could be turning left, but they missed their exit. So see, she's like me. She made a whole story about
That
it.
whole big storyline.
Right.
Liz does that for everything.
It's just
She
big
sees a
imaginations.
phone ringing and she misses it, and then it rings again. She automatically thinks it's the same person who is calling, talking about the same thing she thinks that they're talking, and then all of a sudden develops a whole storyline behind the person who's calling on the other end of the line. I'm like, where do you get this from?
My imagination.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
Every time my mama comes to visit our house, she always has like $5 bills or something for each of the kids. She always has little presents. And I love that she does this.
Can I be one of your kids?
I know, right?
I want $5 from Mom.
Where's Rob's? So, yeah, there's a grandmother that was visiting her grandkids, and she was passing out the money. But for one of her grandchildren, whose name is Baylor, she had something really special.
And so I heard that you really loved this book and that this blessed you. And so I bought you your very own so you don't have to turn it in. Never, never, never. This belongs to you.
Thank you, Grandma.
Look, my love.
Oh, she's moved. The girls moved to tears that
Yeah.
Grandma got her the special book. What is it?
Yeah, so this book is called the Planet 316 Story Bible. And yeah, so the little girl, whose name is Baylor, she would go to the library and she would check out this book. And every time she had to take it back, because I guess you get, 2 weeks? It's been a while since I've gotten a book from the library. But after about 2 weeks, on the way to the library, she would break down in tears because she didn't want to turn the book back in.
Because it's based off the Bible, right?
Yes, it's stories from the Bible that, are written just for someone her age. And she looks to be about 7 or 8 years old. And so Grandma's like, okay, I heard this story. You never have to turn this one in ever again.
Wow.
Yeah.
May I get to a point like that child that so desires to want to read the stories of the Bible that I'm sad when I can't. Because she was, and now she's got her own. She's going to treasure that from Grandma.
Absolutely. I'm sure there's an inscription, to Grandma to Baylor from Grandma. But even more than that, she knows what those stories mean to her heart.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
International student Valerie is from Vietnam. She's like, I'm going to go see palm trees. I'm going to be on the beaches of Florida. The winters are not going to be horrific. It's Rob and Lizz in the morning, his radio. So she enrolled in the Miami University. But here's the thing. Miami University is in Ohio. Whoops.
Whoopsie. She was looking at, laying out by the beach, doing her studies out there. She probably I thought about her wardrobe. Like she probably bought shorts, tank tops, things like this.
Yeah.
Not going to work.
Not in Ohio.
It's Oxford, Ohio, which is where Miami University is. And, when she first found out that it's in Ohio, she thought, okay, I'm not going to go there then. I really wanted to be by the beach. But she had gotten a pretty good scholarship, so she's going to go.
Good for her.
I know.
Not what she expected.
No.
But good for her for going.
And honestly, there's a reason that she ended up in Ohio, and it may be better than she originally intended.
That could be where she meets the man of her dreams.
It could be.
You never know.
The success that's waiting on her
Yeah.
in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
The Harambe Memorial Bridge is up and going. At least that's what it says on Google. If you look at Google Maps and you drive down the highway and there's that walking path bridge that goes over the highway. It says Google Maps. I can't make this up. The Harambe Memorial Bridge. First, a reminder of who or what that was.
Yeah, Harambe is the silverback gorilla. And I guess this was like 7-8 years ago or something that a little boy had fallen down into where the gorillas live. And, there were some issues there, safety issues and things like this. And so Harambe ended up passing away. And so there are memorials, set up for Harambe a lot of places. And so somebody went on Google Maps, hacked it, and named the bridge in Malden, South Carolina. Even though the city, the state, nobody.
There is no name for it yet, right?
No,
I didn't think so.
They're tossing around like a couple of things like the Malden Skyway Bridge, the Archway, the Gateway Bridge. There's like 4 or 5 different names. And I think they're asking residents to weigh in on it, to vote on it. But none of them that they have put up from the city of Malden say Harambe. So.
No, but yet on Google Maps, it does.
I love somebody's heart, though. Like, I'm trying to see the positivity
Wait a minute.
in this.
This
Hold
was
on.
somebody's heart was, I'm going to hack into the Google Maps and name the bridge.
They feel like Harambe was sentenced unjustly, I think, is where their
Or
heart
they
was.
just wanted somebody to laugh.
They may have wanted somebody to laugh, but I'm trying to see an even more positive spin on that they...
She always sees the brighter side of things.
Sometimes I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
Prince Christian is second in line to the throne of Denmark, and he just turned 18 years old. So,
oh, well, good for him.
I know. They threw a big party for him at the palace, at the Christian Palace. Christianborg Palace. They named the whole palace after the guy.
After him,
Yeah.
an 18-year-old.
I
Okay,
guess.
well, it's Denmark. You can do that.
Unless it's maybe somebody way back when. Anyway, he has this big party, tons of people, everybody totally dressed up with the beautiful dresses and the shoes and the tuxedos and everything.
It's royalty.
They found a slipper,
Okay.
a golden slipper on the stairs of this palace.
Why is this starting to sound like a movie?
It's exactly what,
Is it a glass slipper?
No, it was a golden slipper.
The golden slipper.
But it was kind of Cinderella-esque.
Okay.
And so they started putting out like all of these feelers, like to the media and everything, like who owns this slipper,
Evidently, he must have been smitten by this young lady.
Maybe, but they didn't know who it belonged to
Went
at
for a
first.
search house to house with the shoe.
I know. And the stepsisters took it. No. So here's what happened. The woman who did it, her name's Anne. She was invited to the party. She didn't accidentally, like in a rush to get back to the pumpkin before midnight. She did it on purpose.
For real.
She did because she said, I wanted people to laugh. And I'm like, you wanted followers on your Instagram. That's what you wanted.
Boy, I'm laughing on the inside.
I know. I mean, it's a cute story. Now we're talking about, I didn't know there was a Prince of Denmark, to tell you the truth. I didn't know there was and I'm into the royal family, like as far as following it.
But you do that for England. You don't do that
I do
for
it for
Denmark.
the Tsars of Russia as well.
What?
Totally. Yeah.
I thought I knew this lady.
Yeah.
Now she follows czars in Russia.
Yeah, well, the last being in the early 1900s, but at the same time, we won't get into that story.
Rob and Lizz.
His morning crew.
There are some who are saying, and I think this university did this study, but when it comes to people wanting to work at home, they would, and this shocked me, they would take a pay cut anywhere between $4,600 to $6,000 a year less, just for the opportunity and the convenience of working from the house.
Yeah, I think I'd jump on that. I think I would. Not full-time, but I could see a hybrid.
But this is no more coming in.
Oh, no.
And you make $4,600 to $6,000 less a year, and you can work from home. That's being offered, and people said, I'll do that.
Well, okay, so not only, you're taking the pay cut, but it honestly evens out.
How?
Because they say that, and this is in that research too, that if you stay at home, you're not spending about $6,000. First of all, you're not putting the wear and tear on your car, the gas. You're making your own meals rather than, forgetting your lunch and grabbing something out somewhere. You're walking your own dog, so you don't have to pay somebody to come in and walk the dog.
Wait, who does that? I mean, if you're in a big city, yeah, but who does not walk their own dog?
Oh, no, my daughter used to have a service.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, so she's a nurse,
Really?
so you've got 12-hour shifts, and so they
I
would
had
have...
no idea.
Yeah.
I think in a suburban area.
No. You got to have somebody to come in, and if everybody's working, the dog's like, I got to go. But also, another thing is that you are not going to the dry cleaner as much because, I mean, think about it. You're only wearing, sometimes in these Zoom meetings or whatever, you don't see the bottom half, so you could have on just running shorts or something. It doesn't matter. So you're not going to the dry cleaner as
Now
much.
we know what Liz does when she works virtually. But here's one thing but not a lot of people know, that Scott's wife works from home.
Oh.
She does. She's a writer. She does some research. The company she works for is actually in Virginia, the nonprofit Institute for Family Studies. They do some great work there. And so, but she likes the flexibility, especially with 2 kids. And she can work a little bit in the morning, afternoon. She does a lot of work at night. But taking the pay cut, I don't think we'd go for that.
Even though it saves you money.
But how much
What's
money?
the money you're saving? You're just not getting paid it.
But you're also saving the money because you're, like I say, I went through the list.
But it feels like to me that's being taken away from you. So it's not like you saved any money. It's just like you got the big pay cut. Up to $6,000 a year. That's a lot of money.
No, it is. That is a ton of money. But if you can save it by staying at home and doing those other things, and also the flexibility that it gives you, just like Scott's wife, she's there for the kids. If somebody has a question about homework, they're not interrupting that day necessarily. She can put it to the side, help with the homework, and get on to what she was doing.
Writing the blogs and all that other stuff.
Absolutely.
But still, I don't see how it saves you money when you're getting a pay cut.
Because you're not, honestly?
Is this girl math? Are you doing girl math here? Is that what this is?
No, I'm doing math.
Rob and Liz.
His morning crew.
Okay, struck quite at the nerve when it comes to working at home and taking a cut in pay to work at home. Not just like, a couple $100, but we're talking $4,600 to $6,000 a year at 800-447-7234. Some people are starting to chime in with the open mic and some texts.
Yeah, so the text from Teresa says, I worked from home for a while. The electric bill goes up. And so she said in the winter, it went up by $200 a month.
I can see it.
In the summer, around $150. We set ours at the same, pretty much year round, so I don't see it going up.
It depends on the air conditioner.
Right.
Seriously, it really does. However, it makes sense because some people, I don't know if you do this, but some people will set it differently. When they're away from home, it's going to be warmer.
And I see that.
Not cool in the home just as much, but when you're at home, you're like, I'm so hot, or it's so cold, then you're going to set the temperature to your liking.
Yeah, we typically set it at the same temperature so that it's not working harder just to...
And see, and Liz, I don't know why, but Liz feels that you really do save money. Even if you're cutting the $6,000 a year off your salary to work at home, that some people are given the opportunity to do. I'm like, I don't see how you're saving any money.
I feel like we could do with one car instead of having an extra car payment.
Possibly,
the gas.
Until one's at work and then a kid needs to be picked up from school.
Well, true. But in my situation, we don't really have that. But at the same time, bicycle. No, just kidding.
Oh yeah, you're gonna put the carpool on your handlebars. That's gonna work really, really well. I mean, Scott feels the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn. I feel like you do save some money when you're working from home, and I don't know.
But the pay cut, the pay cut thing, I don't see it. I don't see the girl math here.
So $6,000 a year, that's $500 a month.
That's a lot.
So that is a lot of money. I get that.
Check out these open mics that just came in through the My HISRadio app.
Rob and Scott have a point, but don't be making fun of Liz's girl math. That's not cool. But yeah, the whole taking a pay cut thing, it's not really a pay cut. It's more of you don't have an option but to work at home because you're not making enough money to be able to travel to and from work.
Yeah, see? Sorry about the girl math. Let's see. Here's another open mic that came in through the My HISRadio app.
You might be saving not going out to eat, but you're spending more in groceries by eating at home.
Good point.
I still think you're spending less money if you make your meals at home. I can meal prep all week
It
for the cost of
depends.
one meal
You
out.
run out of those chips, you got to get you some more.
Well, hopefully I'm not at home just shoving chips down my face.
You wouldn't think. One more open mic that just came in.
Good morning, this is Debbie. I'm getting close to retirement, and one of the things they tell you is that your Social Security is going to be, off your last 5 years, well, at least my pension will be. So you may want to think about rethinking that pay cut and staying home if it's you're getting close to retirement. Anyway, just thought you'd like to know that.
I didn't know that.
Well, I didn't either. I do think about your 401k. If you're not making as much, obviously that's going to go down.
That's if you do.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have a 401k,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, so
I get that. Okay, so
take it all into account.